The rain hammered against the leaded windows of the Hawthorne Manor Library like 1,000 accusing fingers. But Daisy Hawthorne didn't flinch as her father's voice sliced through the storm. "You're no daughter of mine if you choose this." "Abomination," Elias Hawthorne snarled. His face twisted in the firelight, the antique clock ticking like a death knell. In that instant, with her lover's hand still warm in hers, Daisy felt the world crack open, not with thunder, but with the cold finality of exile. She'd always known the Hawthorne legacy was built on iron rules and old money, the kind that bought silence from small-town gossips in upstate New York and loyalty from boardroom sharks in Manhattan. But loving Elena Ramirez? That was the fracture line they'd all pretended didn't exist. Daisy, 22 then, fresh out of Yale with a business degree clutched like a shield, had brought Elena home for Christmas, her dark-eyed artist from the village, with paint-stained fingers and a laugh that lit up the frostbitten estate like forbidden fireworks. Elias had waited until the eggnog was poured, the family silver gleaming under candlelight, to drop the ultimatum: choose the girl or the inheritance. Daisy's mother, frail in her cashmere shawl, had whispered prayers into her handkerchief, while her brother Theo smirked from the shadows, already plotting his ascent. Daisy chose Elena. They fled that night in a borrowed jeep, the manor's wrought iron gates slamming shut behind them like a coffin lid. New York City swallowed them whole, neon lights and subway rumbles replacing the estate's echoing halls. Elena's loft in Soho became their sanctuary, walls splashed with murals of tangled bodies and blooming roses, symbolizing the love society said couldn't root. Daisy waitressed at a dive bar in Chelsea, her Hawthorne poise cracking under grease-slicked trays and leering drunks, while Elena scraped by with commissions for gallery snobs who paid in exposure. Nights blurred into feverish embraces, Elena's lips tracing apologies on Daisy's collarbone for the life they'd lost. But Daisy would hush her. "We're free now. That's the empire I want." Freedom had teeth, though. 6 months in, Elena's ex, a brooding sculptor named Marco, crashed their anniversary dinner, drunk and desperate, begging her to model for his masterpiece. Daisy watched from the fire escape as Elena hesitated, her hand lingering on his arm, and something curdled in Daisy's gut. By morning, Elena was gone, leaving a note: "I can't breathe in this cage you built around us. Forgive me." Betrayal tasted like cheap Merlot, sharp and lingering. Daisy burned the note in the sink, the flames licking up the words like vindication, and vowed never to let love gut her again. She clawed her way up alone. Enrolled in night classes at NYU, she devoured finance texts like scripture, her mind a blade honed on resentment. By 25, she landed an internship at Sterling Ventures, a mid-tier firm poaching Hawthorne talent. Ironic, since the Hawthornes owned half the real estate in Midtown. Daisy kept her head down. Her name changed to Daisy Hale on resumes, burying the scandal under layers of competence. She outmaneuvered rivals with quiet ferocity, turning around failing portfolios while dodging whispers about her personal life. Women came and went, flings in dimly lit jazz clubs. An architect named Riley who built her a bookshelf but couldn't build trust, but none stayed. Daisy's heart was a vault, locked with Elias's rejection as the key. 28. She jumped to Vanguard Capital, rising to VP by 32. The glass ceiling? She shattered it with a hostile takeover pitch that saved the firm $200 million, earning her a corner office overlooking the Hudson. Theo, meanwhile, had squandered the Hawthorne fortune on bad bets, crypto scams and vanity projects, leaving Hawthorne Enterprises teetering like a drunk on a ledge. Elias, stroke-ridden and stubborn, refused to sell, clinging to the family name as if it could cure his regrets. Daisy heard about it from a mutual contact at a gala in the Hamptons. Theo's latest embezzlement scandal. The board's panic. She nursed a scotch, the ice clinking like chains, and felt the old pull. Not revenge, something sharper, like reclaiming a stolen breath. By dawn, she drafted the proposal, buy out the board, install herself as CEO, and drag the company kicking into the future. Her lawyers moved like ghosts, leveraging her anonymous shares, gifts from her mother, squirreled away before the banishment. The announcement hit the wires on a muggy August morning. Daisy Hale, the prodigal powerhouse, stepping in as Hawthorne Enterprises' new CEO. The press frenzy was biblical. Headlines screaming heiress returns. From exile to empire. Photos of her in sharp-shouldered blazers, green eyes unyielding, plastered across the Post and Times. Elias wheeled into the boardroom for the vote, locked eyes with her across the polished oak table. His face, gaunt under the fluorescence, crumpled not in anger, but something perilously close to pride. "Daisy," he rasped, voice like gravel. "You've come back. Not for you, Father," she said coolly, signing the papers with a flourish. "For what's mine?" The first weeks were war. Theo, red-faced and raging, cornered her in the executive washroom, his tie askew like a noose. "You think you can waltz in here after ditching us for some dyke fantasy? Mom died broken because of you." Daisy didn't flinch, though the words landed like shrapnel. Margaret Hawthorne had passed 2 years prior. Her obituary a sanitized lie about peaceful repose, omitting the letters Daisy had smuggled through the estate's postbox, pleas for forgiveness, glimpses of a life rebuilt. Theo's betrayal ran deeper. He'd been the one to leak Daisy's relationship to the tabloids back then, trading her scandal for his golden boy status. She fired him that afternoon. His office cleared by security while he howled obscenities in the lobby. The board murmured approval, stock prices ticking up like a heartbeat quickening. But Power's throne was lonely. Daisy worked 18-hour days. Her penthouse in Tribeca a sterile echo of Elena's loft, minimalist lines. No color. Just the hum of the city below. Flings dried up. Vulnerability was a luxury she couldn't afford. Until the merger gala at the plaza, where fate, that cruel curator, served her on a silver platter. Elena Ramirez stood across the ballroom, older now at 32. Her blonde waves pinned with diamond clips, a crimson gown hugging curves softened by time. She was arm in arm with a venture capitalist, a silver fox type named Victor Lang. But her blue eyes, those damn ocean blue eyes, scanned the crowd until they snagged on Daisy. The air thickened, champagne flutes clinking like distant alarms. Elena excused herself, weaving through taffeta and tuxedos, until she was inches away, her perfume a ghost of jasmine and regret. "Daisy Hawthorne," she breathed, voice husky from years of unsaid words. "Or is it Hale now? You've become everything." Daisy's pulse thundered. A traitor's drum. Close. Elena was breathtaking, freckles faded but still dusting her nose, lips fuller, eyes holding storms Daisy had once navigated blind. Elena. Still painting masterpieces for men who don't deserve them. The barb landed soft. Elena's laugh was a melody Daisy had forbidden herself to remember. They talked for hours. Victor forgotten in the coat check of Elena's mind. Turns out, she'd clawed her way up too, solo exhibits in Chelsea. A TED Talk on queer artists reclaiming space. Marco had been a relapse. A bridge burned long ago. But the guilt lingered like ash. I left because I was scared, Elena confessed over stolen glances in the garden terrace, the city lights winking like conspirators. You were building walls. Daisy. I thought love needed air. And you suffocated it? Daisy shot back. But her voice cracked. The old wound weeping. By night's end, they were in Daisy's limo, hands tentative on thighs, the divider up like a confessional screen. Elena's kiss was fire, slow, searing, tasting of forgiveness and what-ifs. They tumbled into the penthouse, clothes shedding like old skins, bodies rediscovering maps drawn in youth. Elena's fingers traced the scar on Daisy's hip from a bar fight long ago, whispering, I never stopped loving you. I just didn't know how to stay. Dawn found them tangled in silk sheets, Elena's head on Daisy's chest, heartbeat sinking like a truce. For the first time in years, Daisy slept without the ghost of Hawthorne Manor haunting her dreams. But empires devour their own. Theo, slinking in the shadows, saw opportunity in the reunion. Bitter and broke, he fed the scandal to a ragtag blogger. CEO's secret sapphic affair, Hawthorne heiress's lesbian leverage? The story exploded. Anonymous sources claiming Daisy was using Elena to soften the board. Photos from the gala twisted into tabloid porn. Stock dipped 8%. Investors bolted. Elias wheeled into a fury that landed him back in the hospital. Daisy faced the boardroom inferno alone. Elena barred at the door by security for her safety. Theo's grin was feral as he presented evidence. Forged emails implying nepotism. Daisy's lifestyle as a liability. She's poisoned the brand. Elias. He crowed to their father via video link. The old man's face ashen on the screen. We purge or we perish. The room spun. Betrayal's double helix twisting anew. Daisy stood. Voice steel over the quake in her chest. This isn't about love. It's about fear. Hawthorne Enterprises was built on bold moves. Father's gambles in the 80s. Mother's quiet steel in the crises. I've tripled our valuation in months. Judge me on that. Not whispers. Elias's eyes, milky with age, bored into hers. And the girl? Elena. Daisy's throat tightened. The weight of 13 years crashing down. She's the best part of me. The part you tried to banish. Silence stretched. Taut as a wire. Until Elias sighed. A sound like settling earth. Then fight for her. For us. That's the Hawthorne way. The board voted 7-4 in her favor. Theo's allies crumbling under the math of her success. He stormed out. Disowned in turn. The cycle snapping like brittle bone. Daisy emerged into the lobby. Elena waiting on a marble bench. Eyes red-rimmed but fierce. They embraced under the chandelier's glow. Flashes popping like celebratory gunfire. Months blurred into a fragile peace. Daisy and Elena moved Elena's studio into the penthouse. Canvases blooming against white walls like defiant gardens. Elias, recovering in a Park Avenue suite, invited them to Sunday dinners, awkward at first. Silverware clinking over unspoken apologies, but thawing into stories of Daisy's wild Yale days. Elena's abuela's tamales. No grand speeches. Just the slow melt of icebergs. One crisp October evening. As leaves scorched the Central Park paths, Daisy knelt in the boathouse. A sapphire ring glinting in her palm simple.
Un ossor ostentatieux.
Marry me. Elena. Not despite the world. But because we conquered it. Elena's tears were rivers, her yes a vow etched in starlight. The wedding was small city hall steps. Then a reception in the village with queer icons and Hawthorne holdouts. Toasts blending bourbon and tears. Elias, leaning on a cane, danced with Elena to an old Sinatra tune, whispering, "Take care of my girl. She's the empire that matters." In the end, Daisy didn't reclaim the estate, she redefined it. Hawthorne Enterprises launched a diversity fund, Elena's art adorning the lobbies, a quiet revolution in boardrooms nationwide. Love, turned out, wasn't banishment's end, but its fierce rebirth, human, messy, unbreakable. The merger with Apex Tech was Daisy's crown jewel, a $500 million beast that would catapult Hawthorne into AI-driven real estate, predicting urban sprawls before the hipsters claimed them. Board meetings stretched into witching hours, projections flickering on screens like digital prophecies. But Daisy's mind wandered to Elena's latest piece, a massive canvas of two women entwined in a thunderstorm, thunderclouds parting to reveal a rainbow arc. "It's us," Elena had said that morning, paint flecking her cheek like freckles reborn. "The storm we weathered." Daisy smiled into her coffee, the memory a balm against the caffeine grind. But peace was a jealous lover, quick to flee at whispers of discord. It started with a late-night email from an unknown sender. "Ask your fiancé about Victor Lang. Some debts never die." Attached was a grainy photo, Elena and Victor at a Soho cafe last spring. Her hand on his knee, his grin proprietary. Daisy's stomach knotted, old scars itching like fresh wounds. She confronted Elena over takeout Thai in the kitchen. The city hum a distant roar. "What's this?" Daisy slid the print across the island, voice even as plate tectonics. Elena's fork paused midair, color draining from her face. "Daisy, it's nothing." Victor commissioned a piece, old flames fizzle. "You know that." But her eyes darted. The tell Daisy had learned in their loft days, when lies were easier than truths. "Old flames don't touch like that." Daisy's words hung heavy, laced with the vinegar of betrayal's aftertaste. Elena reached for her hand, but Daisy pulled back, the distance a chasm reopening. "I built this life on trust, Elena. After you left me gutted, I didn't leave you gutted. I left because we were drowning." Elena's voice cracked, blue eyes flashing lightning. "You armored up, Daisy. Turned love into a ledger. Victor was a mistake. A lonely night when your walls felt like exile all over again." The argument spiraled, words weaponized. Daisy's accusations of using her for stability, Elena's barbs about corporate cages eclipsing their spark. By midnight, Elena stormed to the guest room, door slamming like a guillotine. Daisy paced the living room, skyline mocking her with its indifferent glitter. Theo's ghost laughing in the ether. Was this the cost of return? Trading one banishment for another's echo? Morning brought olive branches, Elena's sketchpad left open on the counter. A portrait of Daisy mid-laugh, softer than reality. They talked, haltingly, over burnt toast. Victor was indeed a ghost, a one-off funded by guilt money for past hurts. But Elena swore it meant nothing. Daisy believed her. Mostly. But the seed of doubt took root, watered by the pressures of CEO life. Elias called from rehab, his voice frielier. "Family's a battlefield, kid. But you choose your flags." The Apex deal closed with fanfare, a press conference in the Hawthorne atrium. Elena beaming from the front row, her presence a quiet statement amid the suits. Daisy fielded questions with her trademark poise, green eyes scanning the crowd until they met Elena's. Steady now. A lifeline tossed across doubt's waves. That night, they made love on the balcony, the Hudson whispering approvals, bodies sinking in a rhythm that drowned out whispers. But Theo wouldn't fade so easily. Disgraced and desperate, he holed up in a Queen's walk-up, nursing grudges with bottom-shelf whiskey. His next strike was surgical, hacking into company servers, courtesy of a bribed IT drone, leaking confidential merger docs to competitors. The fallout was cataclysmic: SEC investigations, lawsuits piling like autumn leaves, stock cratering 15% overnight. The board turned feral, whispers of instability circling Daisy like vultures. She traced it to Theo in hours, her cybersecurity team unearthing his digital fingerprints. Confronting him in that dingy apartment, rain sluicing the fire escape like tears, Daisy felt pity twist with rage. Why? Theo? We could have shared it all. He lounged on a sagging couch, eyes bloodshot, a half-empty bottle dangling. Shared? You stole it. Sis. Banished for your pervy little secret. Then swoop back like a dyke avenger? Dad's puppet now. Huh. His laugh was acid. Elena's just your trophy. Wait till the world sees her side hustle with Lang. The bluff hit like a sucker punch. Theo had been tailing Elena, snapping pics of innocuous lunches twisted into affairs. Daisy left without a word, the door clicking shut on Brotherhood's corpse. Back home, Elena was packing, suitcases yawning open, canvases rolled like surrender flags. I saw the news. This is your world. Daisy. I don't fit the frame anymore. Her voice trembled, freckles stark against pallor. Don't, Daisy begged, dropping to her knees amid silk blouses and oil paints. Theo's poison. He's twisting everything because he lost. Elena knelt too, hands framing Daisy's face, thumbs brushing tears Daisy hadn't noticed. And us? Are we twisted? You look at me like I'm the leak sometimes. The honesty gutted her. Daisy pulled her close, foreheads touching, breaths mingling in confession. I'm scared. Of losing you again. Of being the villain in my own story. Elena's kiss was salt and solace. Then let's rewrite it. Together, they went to Elias. The three of them, Daisy and Elena hand in hand, Theo summoned like a wayward son. The hospital room smelled of antiseptic and wilted lilies, machines beeping a somber orchestra. Elias, propped in bed, surveyed them with emperor's eyes. My children, he murmured, voice a rasp. And the woman who saved one. Theo slouched in the corner, defiance cracking under the weight. She ruined us. Dad. All for love, Elias cut in, sharp as youth. The kind I denied her. I banished my blood for pride. Theo. Watched your mother fade because I couldn't bend. His gaze softened on Elena. You brought her back. Ramirez. Stronger. Theo's shoulders slumped, the fight leaching out like air from a punctured tire. I just wanted to be enough. Elias extended a trembling hand. You are. But sabotage? That's not Hawthorne. Fix it, son. Or leave the name behind. Theo confessed to the board the next day. Documents surrendered. A plea deal brokered. The SEC probe fizzled. Apex merger salvaged with Daisy's ironclad contingencies. In the aftermath, Theo vanished to California, rehab and reinvention. Emails trickling in like tentative bridges. Sorry doesn't cut it, but it's a start. Love, bro. Winter blanketed the city in hush. Christmas lights twinkling like hesitant stars. Daisy and Elena hosted Elias at the penthouse. A tree decked in hawthorn heirlooms, ornaments from Margaret's trousseau. Twinkling with ghosts made gentle. Elena's tamales steamed on the table. Laughter bubbling as Elias recounted the 80s crash. His voice animated for the first time in years. As snow feathered the windows, Daisy slipped away to the balcony, Elena following like a shadow-turned partner. You did this, Daisy whispered. Arm around Elena's waist. City sprawling submissive below. Turned exile into home. Elena turned. Blue eyes reflecting lights. We did. Now, what's next for CEO Hawthorne? Daisy grinned. The future unfolding like a well-negotiated clause. More storms. More rainbows. Spring erupted in Manhattan like a scandal unveiled. Cherry blossoms rioting pink against concrete canyons. The air electric with possibility. Hawthorne Enterprises bloomed alongside. The Apex integration yielding smart city pilots in Brooklyn. Elena's murals adorning the facades as cultural anchors. Daisy navigated it all with renewed fire. Her days a blur of negotiations and nights anchored in Elena's arms, where vulnerability was currency, not weakness. But scars don't fade, they map the skin. Elias's health waned. A shadow creeping, doctors murmuring about late-stage lymphoma. The old man's empire shrinking to 4 drips and morphine dreams. He refused the fanfare, insisting on the estate for his final act. The manor in upstate New York, a reluctant pilgrim's return. Daisy drove them there one April weekend. Elena's hand steady on her thigh as the throughway unspooled like fate's thread. The gates creaked open. Unchanged, wrought iron twisted into hawthorn thorns. The house loomed. Georgian grandeur softened by ivy and regret. The library where it all shattered now a sunlit sanctuary. Elias waited in the solarium, wheelchair-bound but regal in a velvet robe, eyes lighting at their approach. My girls, he greeted. The plural a quiet coronation. Over tea Margaret's bone china. Chipped but cherished, they talked legacy. Elias pulled Daisy aside later. The conservatory humming with bees. I was wrong. Kid. Thought blood bought loyalty. But it's love that binds. His hand, veined like ancient rivers, clasped hers. Forgive an old fool? Tears blurred the geraniums. Already did. Dad. Long ago, Elena's presence wove the magic, sketching Elias mid-story. Her laughter coaxing stories from him like buried treasures. The speakeasy brawls of his youth. Margaret's secret jazz phase. Theo even appeared. Gaunt from Cali's sun but sober. Bearing a vintage scotch as peace offering. The 4 of them, awkward quintet with Elena, shared a meal in the dining hall. Silver gleaming under chandeliers. Ghosts banished by candlelight. Elias passed in May. Quietly. As dawn gilded the lake. His will was poetry, the estate to Daisy. With clauses for Elena's art foundation on the grounds, shares to Theo. Contingent on mentorship. A trust for queer youth scholarships. His final rebuke to old prejudices. The funeral was a spectacle, rain-slicked cemetery. Black umbrellas blooming like ink, but the wake at the manor pulsed with life. Artists. Executives. Outcasts toasting the man who'd learned too late. Grief hollowed Daisy. But Elena filled the voids, nights of weeping into shoulders. Mornings of coffee and canvases. He saw you, Elena murmured one stormy eve. thunder rumbling like applause. The real you. Summer sweltered. The wedding fever building. They chose the estate for the ceremony, gardens alive with lupins, the lake a mirror for vows. Guests trickled in, Vanguard alums, village eccentrics. Theo as best man. His toast equal parts roast and redemption. To Daisy, who kicked my ass and saved our souls. And Elena, who painted the colors we forgot. The aisle was petals and promise. Daisy's gown a cascade of ivory silk. Elena an emerald velvet that hugged her like a lover's gaze. Vows exchanged under an arbor. Rings sliding on with whispers. In storms and sun, Daisy promised. Voice carrying over the water. Forever your harbor, Elena replied. Tears carving paths through freckles. The reception spilled into twilight, fireflies dancing. A string quartet weaving Coltrane into Chopin. Daisy and Elena stole moments on the dock. Bare feet dangling. Wine warming their veins. This is the return I dreamed of, Daisy said. Head on Elena's shoulder. Stars pricking the velvet sky. Not a return, Elena corrected softly. A beginning. Months later. Hawthorne's annual gala shimmered at the Met. Daisy's keynote on inclusive innovation drawing standing ovations. Elena's centerpiece installation, a whirlwind of light and shadow. Bodies in motion defying gravity. Theo, risen to VP of Operations, clapped loudest. His grin genuine. As confetti rained, Daisy pulled Elena into a shadowed alcove. Kiss fierce and claiming. Love you, she breathed against lips. More than empires. Elena's hands framed her face. Blue eyes infinite. And I you. More than art. Years folded like well-loved pages. Daisy steered Hawthorne into green revolutions. Elena's foundation nurturing talents from the margins, galleries in the Bronx, scholarships blooming nationwide. The estate became a haven. Artist retreats in summer. Family Thanksgivings with Theo's growing brood. His twins tumbling through halls once silent with judgment. 40. Daisy traced laugh lines in the mirror. Silver threading auburn like victory banners. Elena. 8. Still splashed paint with abandon. Her latest series, Exiles Reclaimed, hanging in MoMA. Critics hailing the tender ferocity of queer endurance. They adopted a rescue mutt named Liberty. Walks in the park, a ritual of quiet rebellion against the world's rush. 1 anniversary. Back in Soho at the old loft, now a museum piece, they made love on the fire escape. City pulse their lullaby. We survived the banishment, Daisy murmured. Fingers laced with Elena's. But we thrived in the return. Elena smiled. Freckles aglow in neon. Because love isn't a throne. It's the revolution. And in America's heart, amid skyscrapers and secrets, their story etched onward, dramatic, emotional. A romance woven with humanity's flawed thread. Proving that even from ashes, phoenixes rise. Hand in loving hand.